Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to this week's prophetic teaching. Yahweh Ngoziago is my name. If you have any correction or suggestion to make on this prophetic teaching, your correction or suggestion is welcome. Send your correction or suggestion to 3oflifetruth@gmail.com. 3oflifetruth@gmail.com. For prayers, you can equally send your prayer requests to 3oflifetruth@gmail.com or to our prayer line +234 9021248997. It is week 39 prophetic Parashah Hohat, which I titled Stop Complaining. Stop Complaining. This Shabbat prophetic teaching is coming to you from Bemidbar chapter 19, chapter 20, and chapter 21. This week prophetic Parashah discusses we saw or we read Moshe to bring water from the rock, and also the red heifer, and it also discusses the Edom refuses Israelites to pass over, and Israelites they murmured so much in this prophetic parasha. In this parasha, we also saw Amalekites. They attacked Israelites. The Amalekites attacked Israelites, and the people of Israel again complained for lack of food and water, and against the manna. But we also read Israelites, they attack Amalekites. They attack Amalek. We have a lot to discuss with you. So there's always a lot we have to discuss with you on every Torah portion. Today we are going to tell us to stop complaining. Shabbat Shalom once again. We see Yahweh has been keeping his commitment. He keeps his commitment and loving kindness to us. He's faithful, and his faithfulness is great. No matter what we do, he's going to do the right thing. In fact, after all of our Israelite ancestors complained and their quarrels and our rebellions, Almighty One still helped them defeat King Sihon of the Amorites and King Sihon of today. And after that, he also helped us defeat King Og. Despite all the great miracles Yahweh did for our Israelite ancestors, they complained for lack of water and against the manna. Remember the scene of golden calf in Shemot chapter 32 verses 4 to 6. Shemot 32 verses 4 to 6, I read, and he took this from their hand, and he formed it with an engraving tool, and made a molded calf. And they said, This is your mighty one, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Mizraim. And Aaron saw and built a slaughter place before it, and Aaron called out and said, Tomorrow is a festival to Yahweh. And they rose early on the next day and offered ascending offerings and brought peace offering, and the people sat down to eat and drink and rose up to play. Also, remember their complaint of lack of water. Their complaint for lack of water. In Shemot chapter 17, verses 1 to 3. And all the congregation of the children of Israel set out on their journey from the wilderness of Sin, according to the mouth of Yahweh, and camped in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. Therefore the people strove with Moshe and said, Give us water to drink. And Moshe said to them, Why do you strive with me? Why do you try Yahweh? And the people thirsted there for water, and the people grumbled against Moshe and said, "Why did you bring us out of Mizraim to kill us and our children and our livestock with thirst?" Remember their complaint for hardship in the book of Bemidbar, chapter 11. They complain for hardship. Bemidbar chapter 11, verse 1. And it came to be when the people were as complainers, it was evil in the ears of Yahweh, and Yahweh had it, and his displeasure burned, and the fire of Yahweh burned among them and consumed those in the outskirts of the camp. Also remember their grumbling and murmuring in Bemidbar chapter 14. They are grumbling and murmuring in Bemidbar chapter 14. Bemidbar chapter 14 verses 1 to 3. And Bemidbar chapter 16 verse 41. He said, "Then all the congregation lifted up their voices and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Aaron. And all the congregation said to them, If only we had died in the land of Mizraim, or if only we have died in this wilderness. And why is Yahweh bringing us to this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and children should become a prey? Would it not be better for us to turn back to Mizraim?" But all the congregation of children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Aaron on the next day, saying, "You have killed the people of Yahweh." You remember Korah, Dathan, Abirah, On, and the 250 elders in Bemidbar chapter 16, verse 1. And Korah, son of Isha, son of Hekat, son of Lewi, took both Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, son of Pelet, son of Reuben, and they rose up against Moshe with some of the children of Israel. 250 leaders of the congregation, called ones of the meeting men of name. Also remember they quarreled with Moshe. They quarreled with Moshe in Bemidbar chapter 20 verse 3 and Bemidbar chapter 21 verse 5. And the people contended with Moshe and spoke, saying, "If only we had died when our brothers died before Yahweh. Why have you brought up the assembly of Yahweh into the wilderness, that we and our livestock should die here?" Also, you remember Bemidbar 20 verse 5. In Bemidbar 20 verse 5, it says they complain for lack of grain, figs, vines, pomegranates, and water, which is part of our discussion this Shabbat. The people, they uttered words of displeasure to Moshe. So verse 5 of Bemidbar chapter 20 says they complain against Moshe for bringing them up out of Mizraim to die in the wilderness because of lack of food and water. What about us? What about us? Are we better than our Israelite ancestors? Whether in words or in deeds, we have been complaining. We have been complaining. Whenever we face with a difficult task, a very difficult task, we are naturally inclined to complain. When chores become difficult, we complain. In the wilderness school of life, we feel like it is the end of life. We complain. When we get hungry a little longer, we complain. It is Shabbat, we complain. That Shabbat is obstructing our business transactions. We get a small sickness, we complain. If it rains for days, we complain. If sun takes its toll on earth, we complain. There are a lot of things we complain about. Complaining can be loud and obvious. It can be also quiet. It can be portrayed by a murmur of discontentment to our leaders or a debate within our own hearts. Whatever the mood is, the real reason we complain is because we don't get what we think we deserve. We think we deserve miracles, we deserve blessing, shalom, and status. We don't deserve suffering, we don't deserve to be in lack and persecution. So we want everything easy and doable, not hard. We don't want things to be hard for us. We don't want things to be intimidating. We complain because we desire other things instead of Yahweh himself. So we have to stop complaining. Stop complaining. Why should we stop complaining? First of all, Yahweh has given us everything we need and we will ever need. He has given us everything. Yahushua also was here on earth. He was the sovereign servant. He was a suffering servant. Yet he never complained, even to the point of death on the stake. Look at Philippians chapter 2, verses 5 to 8. He said, "For let the mind be in you, which was also in Messiah Yahushua, who being the form of Almighty One, did not regard equality with Almighty One a matter to be grasped, but emptied himself, taking the form of a servant, and came to be in the likeness of men. And having been found in fashion as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even death, even of a stake." So we see that example of Yahushua Mashiach. He passed through pains. He passed through suffer. He suffered, but he never complained. He didn't complain. What about a mystery Shaul? A mystery Shaul also suffered as a set-apart one. He suffered as a Nazarite. We see that in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verse 23 to 30, verses 23 to 33. And also, despite his intense suffering, he learned not to complain. And he tells us to do the same. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 11, verses 23 to 33, we may not take the whole of that long verses. But now, let me read from verse 3. It says, "As the servant of Messiah, I spoke as beside me. I am more in labors, much more in stripes above measure, in prison more frequently, in death many times. 5 times I received from the Yahudim 40 stripes, less one. 3 times I was beaten with rods. Once I was stoned. 3 times I was shipwrecked. A night and a day I have been in the deep, in many travels, in dangers of water, in dangers of robbers, in dangers from my own race, in dangers from the nations, in dangers in the city, in dangers in the desert, in dangers in the sea, in dangers among false brethren, false brothers, in toil and hardship, in watchings often, in hunger and thirst, in fasting often, in cold and nakedness, beside the matters from outside, what comes upon me daily, the anxiety for all the assemblies. Who is weak, and I am not weak? Who is made to stumble, and I do not burn inwardly? If I have to boast, I shall boast of matters that showed up my weakness. The Almighty One and Father of all, our Master Yahushua, the Messiah, who is Baruch forever, knows that I am not lying. In Damascus, that is Damascus, the governor under Aretas, the sovereign, was guarding the city of Damascus, that is Damascus, wishing to seize me. But through a window I was let down in a basket by the wall and escaped from his hands. see what Shaul passed through. None of us has passed through 1/3 of what Shaul passed through. But he didn't complain. He didn't complain. We have the first example, Yahushua HaMashiach. He didn't complain. These two examples for us today is to encourage us not to complain like our Israelite ancestors who complained in the wilderness for just lack of food, maybe for hours, and lack of water maybe for hours. I don't think it's up to a day that they didn't get water, because Almighty One will not bring them up from Mizraim and leave them without food and water. He was providing for them. He gave them his own food. He cooked everything they needed, all they needed, vitamins and minerals, all they needed. They are all packed in that manner. They refuse to eat that food. Today we are refusing to eat that food Almighty One has prepared for us. The food that's all that we need to grow, mature, be strong. Everything that we need, all the necessary things that we need from a food. Name it. Name it. Protein, carbohydrate, everything that we need to develop a strong body and a nice growth, all the vitamins all that we need, they are all packed in it. The same Almighty One prepared for our Israelite ancestors, and they load it. As Mashiachim Israel, as Messianic Israel. Let me say Messianic so that you understand what I'm saying. We are urged not to speak unless our words are edifying, unless our words will impart one another. In Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29, Shaul tells us, say, let not corrupt word come out of your mouth, but only such as is adequate for the use of building up, so as to impart what is pleasing to the hearers. So how do we stop complaining? How do we stop complaining? Complaining doesn't impart or edify anyone. Why do we stop complaining? Why should we stop complaining? Why should we stop complaining? We see it doesn't edify anyone. Complaining doesn't change anything. On the contrary, it is a source of discouragement. It doesn't convince anyone of sin, nor does it point anyone to their desperate need of Yahweh. Complaining is simply telling others about your heart that Yahweh is not enough. Almighty does not leave anyone who complain against him and his leadership to go unpunished. We saw that every sin was dealt with. Every sin was dealt with. Every complainer, every sinner was dealt with. How do we fight complaining? How do we fight complaining? Practically, the way to resist complaining is by being thankful to our Father Yahweh. We should fight complaining with thanksgiving. By thankful always, in all circumstances or condition, we give thanks to our Yahweh Almighty. So you have to be thankful. Be thankful always. No matter the circumstances, no matter the condition, be thankful. Give thanks to Yahweh Almighty. Always be thankful. Was your day at work hard? Praise Yah for the opportunity He's giving you to labor, that you may have something to give to those in need. Praise Yah for giving you the opportunity to own a business, so that you have something to support His end-time work. You have a shop, and you think you are, struggling, and you are, working a lot, getting busy every time. Praise Yah for giving that opportunity to own a business, so that you have something to support His work. Are you in school? Are the school assignments and tests tedious? Are the lecturers making things difficult for you? Praise the Most High for giving you a brain that you are able to think and solve problems, and helping you to be patient. Praise Him for helping you to be patient, and helping you to frustrate the effort of them all the people that are making things difficult for you. Are you finding it difficult to fund your education? Almighty One will make a way for you. He's going to make it for you. So praise Him for making a way for you. We need to learn to be thankful. We need to learn to praise Father Yahweh in spite of the unpleasantness of things around us. Are you tired and weary? Are you in discomfort and pain? Praise Yah. Give thanks to Him. You look at Philippians chapter 4 verse 6. Look up that word, that passage. It says, do not worry at all, but in every matter be by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. Let your request be made known to Almighty One. But Jacob tells us that the first thing to do in the midst of suffering is to pray. Jacob 5 verse 13, it says, any of you suffering evil, let him pray. Is anyone in upright spirit? Let him sing Tehillim. Yahweh is our caring Father, is our loving Father. He is the only one fully capable of providing us with peace, joy, and endurance throughout our suffering. So what do we have today? What lesson do we have for us today? We shouldn't be like our Israelite ancestors. We shouldn't be like them. They had a tendency to complain when things did not go their own way. Instead of being thankful for their deliverance from Mizraim, they gripped and complained. When their stomach were not full, they complained. All they wanted was to have personal satisfaction. Unfortunately, there are many of us today who have a complaining spirit. When the stomachs are not full with their selfish desires, they will turn on others and make their complaint known. They make their complaint known. Sometimes a complaining spirit can grip an assembly. Sometimes it can grip a family. When this happens, the life of that family or assembly is overpowered and choked. It quenches the spirit, the ruach, and hinders the work of Almighty One, both in and through the assembly as well. Satan loves, to prey on our minds and cause us to get stirred up over frivolous things. He specializes in causing believers in the assembly to become dissatisfied. When things happen, he robs us of our joy and distracts us from our purpose and vision. Do not allow Satan and his messengers to plant in you a complaining spirit. You better cast that complaining spirit off in the name Yahuwah, Yahushua, when fighting against a complaining spirit. You have to do this. In everything, you give thanks and praises to Father Yahuwah. You give thanks and praises to Yahuwah Almighty. Maintain a positive outlook when you have a complaint. Pray and don't show displeasure. Learn when to speak and when to stay silent. When in doubt, stay silent. Pray for your leaders that they will have wisdom in leading you. Pray for me as well. Be an agent of change and not an agent of discord. So you have to do everything without complaining. Do you suffer lack in your life? Scripture says that Yahushua will supply all our needs. Hallelujah. Do not worry at all, but in every matter, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to Almighty One. Do you get angry with Yahuwah and murmur against him for your lot in life and for the bad things that is happening to you? Or do you give thanks to him for all that happens, knowing that all things work for the benefit of our being conformed in the likeness of Yahushua? We see from 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 18. It says, but we who are of the day should be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith, breastplate of belief and love, and as a helmet, the expression of deliverance. Then in Romans chapter 8, verse 28, it says, and we know that all matters work together for the benefit to those who love Almighty One, to those who are called according to his purpose. In verse 29, it says, because those whom he knew beforehand, he also ordained beforehand to be conformed to the likeness of his being, for him to be the firstborn among many brothers. We must go through the wilderness of life before we enter, or before entering the promised land. Those who murmur, those who complain, did not enter the promised land. Those of our Israelite ancestors who murmured and complained, they did not make it. If we keep fighting or resisting our trials in the wilderness, instead of learning from them and overcoming them, then how will we be spiritually prepared and refined to enter the promised land? It's about faith in the promise of Yahweh. Having faith in the promise of Yahweh. Do we have faith? Do you truly believe his word when he says he will supply all your needs? One can waste one's energy on murmuring and never grow up spiritually. Rather, we are to hear Yahweh and to commune with him in the wilderness of life and seek spiritual enrichment out of that wilderness and view it as our training ground for entering the promised land. Will you make a conscious effort to direct your thoughts and attitude positively, while never forgetting the bitter lessons of our Israelite forefathers? Murmuring produced nothing except death in the wilderness. All our fathers and Israelite ancestors who murmured in the wilderness, they all died in the wilderness. In Hebraic thoughts, water, the fig tree, wine from the grape, as well as oil, milk and honey, the two symbols of promised land. All these are metaphors for Torah. So we talk about water, is a metaphor for Torah. Milk is a metaphor for Torah. The fig tree, wine from grape, and oil, they are all metaphor for Torah. Honey is also a metaphor for Torah. The Israelites were seeking physical food. They were seeking physical water. They were seeking this grain, physical grain and wine and all that. But they were missing the spiritual food. They were missing the spiritual food. The spiritual food is the Torah. Faith in his word and promises that Yahweh was abundantly providing them during their wilderness walk. So one can waste energy on murmuring and never grow up spiritually. Rather, we are to hear Yahweh and commune with him in the wilderness of life and seek spiritual enrichment out of that wilderness and view it as our training ground for entering the promised land. Will you make a conscious effort to do this? To redirect your thoughts and attitude, towards this, all the lessons we are giving us. Not to forget these lessons, the lessons we are learning from our Israel ancestors. In Bemidbar chapter 21 verse 5, it says, our being loads this light bread. Our being loads this light bread. The Hebrew word for bread is lechem. The Hebrew word for manna is man. The manna from the Shamayim is the word. The words, the Torah of life. Life is high. The truth is emet. We see that from Yohanan chapter 6, from verses 32 and 33, it says, therefore Yahweh said to them, truly, truly, I said to you, Moshe did not give you, therefore Yahushua said to them, truly, truly, I said to you, Moshe did not give you the bread out of the heaven, but my Father gives you the true bread out of the heaven. For the bread of Almighty One is he who comes down out of heaven and gives life to the world. Yohanan chapter 6:35, it says, and Yahushua said to them, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall not get hungry at all, and he who believes in me shall not get thirsty at all. Yohanan chapter 6 verse 63, it says, it is the spirit that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are spirit and are life. Those who murmur and complain about Yahweh's manna cannot properly comprehend, ingest, or appreciate the manna. Whereas those who have a heart of gratitude and who enjoy Yahweh's manna, Yahweh's word, will derive much benefit therefrom. How much do you love Abba Yahweh? How much do you love Father Yahweh? How much do you love him? Do you love him with all of your heart, with all of your life, with all of your strength? Or do you love him with your mouth, just your lips? From your lips you say you love him, but you never love him. Many profess to love Abba Yahweh, the one who gave us the Torah, who gave us the words, who gave us the way we are to live our life. But they spend great energy attempting to prove that the Torah, the word that Almighty One gave us, the word that the Creator of the universe gave us, is no longer for us today. They are putting aside the food that we have to eat and live by. So if we put that food aside, the food that we have to eat and live by, the life itself, so how are we going to live? How are we going to live? The word of Almighty One is the life manual. If we put it aside, set it aside. How are we going to live? So I know you have been blessed. I know you have been blessed immensely. Yahweh is the rock. In 2 Corinthians 3 verse 17, it says Yahweh is the rock. I pray that he fills you with his rock. He fills you with his spirit. He fills you with his word. The rock is the word of Yahweh. Yohanan 14 verse 17 confirm that the rock is the word of Yahweh. The rock is the word of Yahweh. We see that in 1 Yohanan chapter 5 verse 6. Yahweh is the rock. The rock is the word. The rock is the truth. The word is the truth. So if Yahweh is the word, then the word is life. The word is the spirit. And that is the manner we have before us this day. Please join me in taking steps in the right direction from the Almighty One of the universe to restore the belief which was once for all delivered to the set apart one. Baruch is he whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are atoned. Baruch is the man whom Almighty One do not count against sin or his sins, and whose spirit is no deceit. Yahweh barak you, Yahweh keep you, Yahweh make his face shine upon you. May Yahweh be kind to you and lift up his countenance upon you and give you shalom. Shabbat shalom, and have a nice Shabbat. Till the next Shabbat. Bye-bye.